asked me for what I have done specifically since I was appointed. Honorable Speaker, I have been in the job for 5 weeks. This is the 5th week. But I want to confirm that we've had a conversation with the Cabinet Secretary for Transport with a view to discussing more airline access, and especially those that were operating even pre-COVID, that had already been licensed, and how they can make a return. I wish to confirm that Fly Dubai operates direct flights to Moi International Airport, and also KQ operates 7 times per week between Dubai and Mombasa. And Mombasa being a critical tourist destination, we feel we need a lot more access than we have, and we'll continue having the discussions even in the days to come. I believe that tourism is almost a low-hanging fruit in creating jobs, especially for the youth, and promoting economic opportunities, even in the region. If you look at just what Mombasa is well endowed in, including the beaches, including marine tourism, rich culture, the history, the weather, I think Mombasa can have more tourism and more justice to the tourism sector. And I want to assure the honorable member that we'll do our best, we'll spare no effort in promoting the coast as one of the prestigious tourism destination. It already is, but a lot more can be done. The question on human-wildlife conflict, it is true that human-wildlife conflict is a big challenge and is a vexation. It affects lives. It also affects the animal. There is competition for resources. But we are now working with communities to set up conservancies in a bid to have a win-win situation to allow multiple land use through management plans, so that we can have the coexistence of wildlife, livestock, tourism, and other economic activities. We are also working on environmental restoration programs, but noting that conservancies are voluntary, we are disseminating information for the promotion of either private or community conservancies. On the attacks under the Meru Park, the ministry through KWS has programmed construction of water pans, and our ministry is identifying resources to provide even more water, because we know that lack of water is one of the biggest sources of human-wildlife conflict. And we are also consulting with the Ministry of Water and other stakeholders so that we can improve the water provision. We are also working with the Ministry for Roads to improve the access roads in the parks in order to increase tourism visitation in the park. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Boni Halole.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam CS Vision 2030. Vision 2030 is very clear on the enablers and macros of its success. And the Western Tourist Circuit is key. I'm surprised that you have told us, responding to the question by Senator Catherine Muma about committees that you're forming with governors and so on. Why don't you save us that money and go and read about what is documented on Western Tourist Circuit in Vision 2030. That money you're wasting, tell us today when you're going to shift the thinking of your ministry, which locally and abroad is focused on the white beaches in Mombasa and the Big Five. For us to be persuaded as people who are promoting Vision 2030 that you want to grow, you have to tell us today, Minister, when you're going to open up direct international flights into Kisumu, how much money this year is lost in the next financial year, you're going to put into upgrading the Golf Hotel in Kakamega, the Sunset Hotel in Kisumu, and similar hotels in Homa Bay, in Kisii, in Nyamira, and Bungoma. Instead of what Cabinet has told us, that you want to sell these assets. This is what we want to hear and go and tell our people on the ground for them to appreciate that we want to exploit the product of tourism in the Western Circuit. I am ready and willing, in the company of Catherine Muma, to host you. You've talked about Amabeka, and you've talked about Isukuti. You're just scratching the surface, Minister. If I was to host you, you'd be amazed at the potential in Western. I would take you from Kitnikai, take you to the beautiful, only existing tropical forest in Kakamega, take you to the crying stone Hongomurui. I would take you to the beautiful cultural sites of bullfighting, the Nabongo Mausoleum in Kakamega. Madam CS, you're wasting time with those elephants and tigers and what have you. You have marketed them enough. Put your money in the Western Circuit and you'll grow the number of tourists coming in Kenya. You can see the leaders of Mombasa are so spoiled that you have given them direct flights and they don't know. They are still asking for them. One morning I have been in Mombasa, Madam CS, and I was very envious. I saw 5 Boeing, is it a 777, on the ground in Mombasa. Some of them were not KQ. So you have spoiled them, you've given them too much. They even don't know that they have it. Shift your focus,
Senator
come
Boni,
to Kisumu.
what is your
Thank you, Madam
question?
Speaker. I had to say these things, Madam Speaker. Thank you for allowing me.
Senator Boni, you have thrown the Honorable CS into a bush in Western because you've scattered around and we didn't hear the question. I don't know whether she got any question from you. What was the question, or was it a comment? It's question time. Can you microphone, Secretariat?
Thank you. Madam Speaker, you were consulting when I was raising the question.
No, I was listening.
Yes, I said, allow me to repeat. I said, and I will not take long. I said to shift policy from the white beaches and the Big Five
so
to come.
What is the question?
The question is this. I wanted her to commit opening of direct flights into Kisumu and committing funds to refurbishing the hotels, which I have enumerated. I don't have to repeat.
What is your point of order, Honorable Miraj?
Chair, is it in order for Senator Boni Halwale to assume that I don't know that there are some international flights landing in Kenya, in Mombasa, in Moi International Airport? I stood here and asked whether the CS is following up on the conversation that I started on this floor, where only 2 airlines were allowed to land in Moi International Airport, because we have more international airports that are taking tourism to Zanzibar and to Dar es Salaam, making us as Kenya and coast region lose a lot of tourists.
Thank you,
Why
Miraj.
is Boni Halwale?
Thank you, Senator Miraj. Thank you, Senator Miraj. Honorable Senator Boni Halwale, it would not be in order to assume that Senator Miraj does not know about the flights that land in her home county, and she uses the airport. So let's go to the next senator so that the Honorable CS can respond to this question. Senator Coril Chepkoech Joyce.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Allow me to congratulate the CS for the wonderful job that she's doing within the ministry. And on that matter, Honorable Speaker, allow me to really touch on the issue that she has given room to the Kenyans to mark the World Tourism Day by giving them free access to all national parks. So I just want to say congratulations, and we are looking up to seeing a lot of changes in that sector. Thank you.
Senator Mudhama Agnes Kavindu. Senator Agnes, I thought you had asked a question to the same CS. Had you asked a question?
Yes, I did.
Then resume your seat, Senator, so we give others a chance. You cannot ask a second one before they also go round, the first round. Please resume your seat. Senator Oburu Oginga.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also want to congratulate Madam for the good job she's doing, and ask 2 questions. Or you just want me to ask one?
To ask only one, please.
One, okay. Madam Speaker, I think Mombasa is already oversaturated with tourism investment. That's where we all go. We all want to go to Mombasa, I want to take my family to Mombasa. But there is too much tourism potential in the western part of Kenya. And I would like Madam to tell me, there are roads. There is a road, a ring road, which was to go around Lake Victoria. And there was supposed to be investment. It was designed, it was costed, it was, I don't know whether it was tendered. But that was meant to open up tourism potential in that area. And the other infrastructure is the golfing, which is also very attractive. We have in Nandi, Kisumu, Kericho, Kisii, and Kisumu. And I would like to know whether they are also taking interest in sporting, so that as part of tourism. Well, Madam Speaker, I'm sorry I asked 2, so it's okay. Madam Speaker, that's what I want you to change your direction of investment to the Western circuit. That's what Honorable Halwale was saying. Because Honorable Kech asked about the islands, about Lake Victoria, but he tells me that you did not quite stress anything about, say anything about Lake Victoria. But this is a very, very high potential area for tourism. And it is time that we started directing our investments towards the west, where there is great tourism potential, including wildlife, including the lake sporting, and Madam Speaker, there is a lot of potential in the islands, particularly Mageta, and those other islands, Takawiri, and all those, the Mfangano. There are a lot of tourism potential in those areas. So thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable CS, you can respond to that before we take another round of questions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The comments by Honorable Kalwale are taken, and also by Honorable Koech and Miraj, we take all those comments. Honorable Speaker, the last question.
Senator Alwale, Honorable CS is responding to your question. Yes. Proceed, Honorable CS.
Yes. Honorable Speaker, that was a comment which we took note of, but to assure that the strategy we are implementing, the tourism strategy, is firmly anchored on Vision 2030. Honorable Speaker, the last question by Honorable Oburu was on diversification of tourism products and tourism destinations. That's why we are happy that this week, the World Tourism Week is being celebrated in the Western region and specifically Kisumu. We've had a lot of activities since Monday. We have seen visits to Ndere Islands, the Kajulu Hills, and the climax will be on Friday when we shall be launching the Western Circuit. And I want to assure the honorable member that we are really focusing on diversification of the products and tourism destinations that we have. We are cognizant that infrastructure is an enabler to tourism, working closely with the Ministry of Roads for the roads and the circuits that will provide access to the tourism places. And also, sports tourism is a niche market for Kenya, and we shall be working closely with the Ministry of Sports so that we can take full advantage of that sector of sports tourism. But we are doing a lot of work to ensure that Kenya has a sustainable tourism industry. And just like the manifesto of the Kenya Kwanza government says, that tourism is critical to the economy of this country, Kenya is still punching a little below its weight, and that goes a long way to describe the work that is ahead of us. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Chute Mohammed Said.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I will also want to take this opportunity to congratulate our CS. I know she is among the 5 best CSs in this country, if not the #1. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the Director General, KWS, who is here today. Honorable Speaker, the recent employment recruitment by KWS was the best recruitment ever. You are aware, these days, if you are recruited by KDF or police service, you pay something kidogo. But recruitment in Marsabit was done above board. Let me say thank you very much for that. Honorable Speaker, there is an issue in Marsabit about claims. There is an old man called Boru Fakansa who lost property. In this case, is with KWS. I want the CS to follow that case up, and if possible, these people should be paid. We have got millions of money that's supposed to be paid to Marsabit for people in Marsabit. It has not been paid. If you go to KWS, they will tell you this money is with the finance, treasury. If you ask treasury, they say it has not come to us. So I want the CS to tell us what is happening or what is not happening between the treasury and KWS. Thank you very much.
Senator Onyonka Richard Momoima.
Thank you. Thank you, my brothers and sisters. Madam Speaker, thank you very much. CS, I first of all want to say that I'm happy to see you. I'm also happy that I've listened to you carefully and I've listened you answer the questions intelligently and professionally. Keep it up. I wanted to say that the responsibility of you making sure that Kenya keeps maintaining the name of being a tourist destination is up to you. But I would like to persuade you, as you are in the cabinet, because tourism does not exist in outer space. It exists in an environment where the public or whoever that is coming to tour in your country, they want to come and find a country that is peaceful, a country that is offering basically services that are valuable, services that are quantifiable, and experiences that are magic. But with the number of corruption scandals and the noises we are having in our country, I don't think many tourists will want to come to this country. So I would like to ask you, Madam CS, that I hope that when you're in your cabinet meetings, you will talk to the president. Tell him we respect him. Tell him we want him to govern our country peacefully. Tell him that he must make sure there is no corruption in tourism.
Senator Onyonka,
Madam Chair.
what is the question?
The question is,
Because you have started a different trajectory.
I was preparing my ground, but because you have guided me, I will
just
say,
as the question directs.
Madam CS, do you intend to introduce any route, touristic route, coming out from other than the Mara, other than people going to, like I've had, the obvious touristic areas? Are you intending to create certain routes or certain events and certain marketing strategies to make sure that tourism goes up to Nandi County, tourism goes up to Kisii, we go to Trans Nzoia, and all the other areas where tourists normally don't go? And what is it that you would want your ministry to suggest that can be done around the lakeside area, particularly Kisumu, Homa Bay, and the Migori County governments? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Chararike Samson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mine to the CS will be very simple. One is that Rift Valley counties like Anbot, Kericho, Kisumu, Nandi, Bomet, Kisii, Nyamira, we are the home of sports. What is the strategy of the ministry, through you, Madam Speaker, and to the CS, on enhancing sport tourism? Because we have legends of sports like Eliud Kipchoge, Faith the Maestro, of course, Faith Kipyegon, Amos Kipruto, among others, who, when people from across the world would want to visit, is there a way of enhancing sports tourism by establishing maybe sports tourism centers and areas, so that when tourists visit, they can also, because Kenya is known as a home of athletics and other sports, what is the strategy of ensuring? And in conclusion, Chair, tied up with that question, in sports tourism, this Western circuit, it is one question, Madam Speaker. This Western circuit.
I'm about to ask why you're asking two questions.
It is co-joined like CMS twins, Madam Speaker. It is co-joined like me. In this Western circuit, alongside my colleagues, we have huge potential tourism, apart from sports and even animals like Ingwal Swamp in Chesumei sub-county. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kip Koril William Cheptumo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to join my colleagues in thanking the CS for articulating the issues before this House. Madam Speaker, there has been a serious problem in the country about the conflict between the wildlife and the Kenyan people, especially in the game reserves, in the national reserves, and so on. Madam Speaker, in Baringo County, we have a game reserve called Kapnorak. And I'm happy the director, KWS, has been there before. And this has caused a lot of conflict, Madam Speaker. When the former CS came here, I raised the same issue. and he was not able to give satisfactory answer. Madam CS, is there a way, not only in Baringo, but across the country, where you have MOUs between the residents of the area where the game reserves are and the KWS institution, so that then there is some understanding? Because the residents in those areas, their livelihood is livestock, and sometimes they need some grazing, areas, especially at a time when there's no rain. So I wanted CS to really, and I'm happy the director is here. What arrangements do you have to ensure that you reduce the conflict between the people of Kamnorok area, where the Kamnorok Game Reserve is established, and the KWS, so that we minimize the loss of the people around there, because livestock is their only livelihood?
Honorable CS, you can respond to those questions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and members. I commit to follow up the case of compensation for Marsabit and get the finer details. But I want to say that human-wildlife conflict and the compensation, since I joined the ministry, is a daily conversation that is being given the importance it deserves. My principal secretary, not a day ends without having a discussion on compensation, human-wildlife conflict, the competition for resources, what we need to do for communities. I want to assure, as we go on with the work that we have been given, we are giving that the highest priority. In regard to diversification of tourism destinations and the products that we have, we are launching the Western Circuit on Friday, but in total we have 9 identified circuits covering all the regions of Kenya, so that we can unveil and promote the products each area has, each county has, so that we have sustainable tourism, and we have many more products that tourists can enjoy. The question by honorable member from Nandi County. Yes, sports tourism is an important pillar in the strategy that we are implementing. Quite a lot of activities are lined up and others have taken place. For example, the athletes, the great athletes we have in Kenya will be the tourism ambassadors, sports tourism ambassadors. We know that plans for Iten Training Institute to also have foreign athletes going to Iten, and partnering with the Ministry of Sports, so that under the Magical Kenya, every sports event can have a tourism angle. But for now is to confirm that it is a strategic pillar in the strategy we are implementing. In regard to the question asked by the honorable member from Baringo, we have several MOUs that have been signed between KWS and county governments, and we have one between, that is between the county governments and KWS on behalf of the people of that county. And a lot of activity is being done between the counties and KWS, and I look forward to working with the leaders. We do know that this human-wildlife conflict is basically caused by competition for resources, and especially water, pastures. There is a lot of lack of water, adequate water to cover both human and wildlife. And we want to put a lot of focus on the provision of water so that humans can have enough water and animals can have water to reduce the competition. And Honorable Speaker, like I have affirmed, human-wildlife conflict is highest in our priority and even in our agenda. It is an item that we are reporting to the highest level, even at the cabinet meetings. And in days to come, we do hope that with the operationalization of county wildlife compensation committees, and with our resolve to look for diversified resource mobilization ways, we will be able to tackle the pending compensations and going forward reducing the conflicts so that we can have more coexistence rather than the conflicts. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Eric Okongo Mogeni.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank the CS for the good work she has embarked on in enhancing the tourism sector in our country. Now, Madam Speaker, in this aspect of diversifying, when you travel to other countries, Madam Speaker, you land their city, you will find that the government has put in place arrangements where you get open buses that take tourists around some key tourist attraction areas. And these guys contribute to the income of the country because you pay. It's not for free. Madam Speaker, for us, the buses can take the tourists to Limuru. They look at our beautiful tea farms. They understand where the famed Kenya tea comes from. They can be taken around to see what is happening at National Park and many other areas. But I don't see this happening, and that requires government support. What steps, Madam Speaker, will the ministry put in place so that we can also tap into that market the way other countries have done? I know, Mr. Speaker, if you have traveled, you go to London, you get these buses. You go to Barcelona, you get these buses. Why can't you also do the same as a country? Number two, in making other counties, because now we have 47 governments across the country. Other regions, like where I come from in Kisii, as the government put in place marketing strategies so that when these tourists come to Kenya, they can be told the other areas where you will see things you will not see anywhere in the world. The soapstone in Kisii is only found in Kisii. People export those, the whatever, the art crafts that are made in Kisii to foreign countries, and they are sold at a kill. As the government put in place any marketing strategies so that when tourists come, they also know that they can visit other regions like Kisii, like Nyamira, so that we have income on tourism spread across the country, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Agnes, I'll give you a chance because I had called you earlier, but otherwise the questions being asked is just one to a respective CS in a session.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think I have too many issues in Machakos, and I would want to put in knowledge of Madam Speaker that even the CS who has left the ministry was aware of how my people in Machakos, especially Masinga County, suffers when they want to go to Masinga from Modesia Ndivini Kalakala ward. They have to pass through Murang'a, they go through Thika, Kiambu, come back to Machakos County if they want to cross in a dignified way by road. And I've been requesting if a ferry can be put between Ekarakara and Ndivini, Isiukoni, Yambukoni, where they cross by just temporary boats. And that is where they are killed by hippos and crocodiles a lot. And they cross in a very undignified manner. And the outgoing for CS had promised that they will look for funds and put a ferry there because there's a big issue. Madam CS, what are you planning to do about that? Thank you.
Senator Adandulo Fatuma.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just wanted to request the CS if I may say that I have about 3 game reserves in my county and 1 Meru Park that is neighboring my county. But Madam Speaker, if you look at maybe now devolution and before devolution, the standard of those reserves and parks have really gone down. More specifically, the reserves are under the county governments. They are the ones actually who are supposed to take care of those game reserves. But unfortunately, the standard has really gone down completely, because you will find in most of the counties don't have capacity, and sometimes they don't even employ those who are real professionals to man those reserves. My question is, CS, do you have a working mechanisms between yourselves and the counties? And number 2, I believe the standard should be left with the ministry so that they can be able to keep the standard and the government doesn't lose revenue that is generated from the tourists. I thank you.
Honorable CS, please respond to those final round of questions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll start with a question by Honorable Mugeni, basically about urban tourism and the buses, the tour buses, and other products that are available, especially in large cities. And this is really gaining global traction. As a ministry, we are working on some processes and some products. We are discussing with the ministry or department in charge of immigration to have transit visas so that travelers who have a long layover can have a transit visa and be able to sample some of the products. We are working closely and encouraging the private sector to participate, and especially in the transport sector. In those countries, most of these buses have a lot of input from the private sector, and this is the private partnership. And Nairobi has a lot to offer, and even in the counties. And we do hope that resources permitting and in partnership with the private sector, this can be a dream come true. We have also seen that tourists who go to cities have certain minimum expectations: good tours, good museums, good nightlife, and quite a lot that a city can offer. I want to assure you that that is in our radar. We need a lot of aggressive marketing in Kenya, even for the counties, and like you have mentioned, specifically the soapstone. I recently met an entrepreneur, a young man, who is doing quite a lot in that field, but on the investment side, when I was in the docket for investment. But it's then a linkage to make it a tourism product. That's why we are concentrating on diversifying, working with counties to have more products. There is a lot that Kenya has that is not known domestically and internationally. As we finalize the Tourism Week in our celebration on Friday, we are also launching a product for the young people to participate in photography and showcase some of those niche and gem products that are available in the counties. And we do hope to have a very good repository of that, as we even give an opportunity for our young people to have their talent and make it into a competition. In regard to the question by the honorable member from Machakos, the issue of the ferry had not come to my attention, but now
Senator
that
Kavindi,
it has
she's
come
responding to that
to
question,
my
Machakos.
attention, I will take it up together with the Ministry of Transport, get the finer details, and probably what can be done about that. The question by the honorable member from Isiolo. It is true that national parks are managed by Kenya Wildlife Service, while game reserves are under the ambit of county governments. We have seen a lot of challenges in management of the game reserves that counties face or are faced by counties: technical capacity, human resources, and other challenges. And we are having a working mechanism with the counties on national reserves, but specifically for Isiolo County, the ministry through the KWS has deployed a senior warden to support the management of Bisindai National Reserve, and KWS has a company, a station there in Isiolo complex to support the security and the activities and the issues that arise from the game reserve. Of course, a lot can be done in collaboration with the counties, and KWS will take up that issue so that we strengthen the collaboration between the counties and KWS to the benefit and security of the people, and also the management and conservation of the wildlife that exists in the game reserves. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable CS, for responding to those questions from the senators. I would guide that the question asked by Senator Agnes Mudhama is very specific. If you could put it down in paper together with Senator Chut.
I've been working hard for this moment. Just being back playing, I'm very grateful. The first day I came in, they made me feel welcome, and I'm just thankful for them for making me feel this comfortable.
It was a great save of Andre, and what actually changed the game, I think. We made another big step. That's the most important thing, that we keep growing and keep improving.
All the stars, all the time, all in one place. The Premier League on SuperSport.
New Downy perfume collection. Sometimes I need a scent to keep me calm amongst the chaos, or a light fragrance that keeps me fresh in the heat, or a perfume that feels elegant all day and into the night, lasting longer than expensive perfumes. New Downy, lavender calm, sunrise fresh, and sweet elegance, freshness that inspires confidence.